What is up, everybody? This is Seabass from Rockin With Seebass, and we got so much to talk about. Yep, got a few announcements here and there, but we also got a special guest that's going to be coming on soon. His name is Robert Berry. He is formerly known as a guy that worked with a band called Three. There's an album that he came out with back in 1988 called The Power of Three. Really good album. Definitely invite you guys to check it out if you've never heard of him, because seriously, he's really good. I'm really impressed with it. He also came out with an album called Third Impression. It's a really good album too. It's his newest album, and we're going to talk about it. And he'll be coming on very soon, so we'll give him some time to get ready. In the meantime, on the announcement stands, September 18th, we have Wrecking Crew, a Motley Crue tribute band, coming to JD Legends. That's right, JD Legends, everybody. So get your tickets now, or else they're going to sell out fast, and we won't be able to see the Motley Crue experience that you want. Another announcement, May 29th is coming up. We will be having That Arena Rock Show, the band headlining, and also Aces High opening, which is an Iron Maiden tribute band, if any of you did not know. We'll also be having E Comp, who is also AKA Getty Ruse, who plays with That Arena Rock Show. He will be the first opening act. Can't wait to see you guys. It's going to be a good show. I'll be there, hopefully. And so we have other things to talk about, like June 2nd, Motley Crue will be coming to Cleveland, along with Def Leppard, Poison, and Joan Jett. It's going to be a good show, I know it, and I hope it happens, because it needs to. Like, seriously, I mean, we've been indoors for too long. We haven't seen a live show in so long, and I think it's time that we just, get out there and see a show. I mean, come on. Oh, we got some comments coming in. Oh, we have Fran. Hey, how you doing, Fran? Yep, I'm doing fine. Hopefully, Robert Berry is getting ready, so we'll be waiting for him. How are all of you guys doing? And all y'all staying safe and partying out there, rock and rolling? If any of you want to comment, what's your favorite band of all time? Tell me. Is it Styx, Fran? Well, I'm just kidding. Hey, Styx is a good band. I'm not going to lie to you. But anyway, we have somebody here. Uh-oh. It's him, the one and only.
Hearing me and seeing me, I've never used this app before. How are you?
I'm doing great, sir. How are you?
I'm very good. In fact, I wanted to do this on my iPad, but I had to install something to make it work. So I said, forget how to use my phone. Why not?
You got to love technology, sir.
Yeah, there you go.
How are you doing, sir? What have you been up to lately?
So I have a thing here. I want you to see my studio.
Yeah, I see that.
You can see, things like a Moog synthesizer back there. This is a very old Neve console, if you can see it. There's the old 2-inch 24-track machine back there.
Holy cow.
Some amps. This is a state-of-the-art recording studio. This is Pro Tools over here. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it goes forever. This is like a museum in this place, let me tell you.
I got to tell you, it's really big in there. Where's that located?
This is, here's the thing. Now, where are you at? I didn't.
I live in Ohio.
Ohio, okay. So I'm trying to get this situated. There we go. Now I'm able to talk to you and not have to hold the damn phone.
That's all good.
I am in Silicon Valley, which is San Jose, California. And I'll say 1 mile south is Netflix, where it started, 3 campuses. 1 mile northeast is eBay. I don't know how many campuses, where it started. 2 miles north is the new Apple complex, which is that big circle made out of glass, all the whole thing almost. I don't know if you've seen that or not. It's like a spaceship over there. I'm right in the center of high-tech Silicon Valley in this little town called Campbell, which is kind of quaint. It's very nice here.
Yeah, I believe that. And I've never been to the new Apple Center, so I really don't know what that looks like. But yeah, that's still pretty cool.
It's really something. When they built the big Apple spaceship kind of deal, it's huge, like a soccer stadium, but all the outside is glass. There we go. Well, but this keeps turning my phone down. It's all glass. So people were like breaking their noses and stuff when they first moved into their cubes, because they'd walk into the glass on the outside. It was so clear. So they had to put little stickers all over the place to stop that.
Hey, y'all gotta be safe and everything with that.
That's right.
But You have a very impressive studio, and that's actually. I mean, I'm kind of studying to be a producer, but I'm more of a radio guy. That's what I'm studying to be for college. So
That's great. And what do you have a specialty in broadcasting? You want to get into news, TV, radio? I mean, radio is kind of not the greatest place to go now. Internet shows are what's taken over podcasts and everything.
mhm.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking morely towards the internet podcasts and all that right now.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? It may change over time, but I'm looking out there to be a good journalist. To interview rock stars that I like you. Your publicist actually, told me about you, and I'm like, Robert Barry, he sounds familiar. So I looked you up, and I'm like, this guy's awesome.
Well, I've been lucky, we'll put it that way. But, there's a lot of people like myself that have niche market kind of music. Mine's progressive rock, but, folk, jazz, there's all these things. And within that niche market, these, like myself, we do really well. And it's not the mainstream, but there's enough room, just like you as a journalist, if you can figure out how to monetize a podcast, which a lot of the comedians do big time, there's a way to make a living at it. And that's kind of what I've done in not only recording studio, but in my progressive rock career.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, you've been really successful. I actually bought 2 of your albums. They came in just in time to show, but The Power of Three, your first album, if I remember correctly, that's your first album?
That was there's 3 albums in the 3 series. The first one we had the band name 3.2 because one of the guys wasn't involved. But yes, there's 3 albums in that. That wasn't my first album, but it was my first big break.
Okay. It's a darn good album. I think my favorite album off this is Lover to Lover. What inspired you to write that one?
It's funny. Back in the day, 1988, that came out. Keith Emerson, the keyboard player, like the most famous, best-known keyboard player in the world for rock music, wanted to do something a little more accessible than the ELP stuff he'd been doing, which a lot of classically influenced music. And I brought that song in just on guitar, lover to lover, face to face. And he goes, oh, I like that. He goes, let me see what I can do. He worked till like 2, 3 in the morning, came back the next day. We're going to rehearse other songs. And he played this on this 8-track tape recorder he had. Basically what you're hearing, the arrangement exactly the same, this huge middle section, all the stuff. And I was like, you did that last night? He goes, yeah, what do you think? And it blew up big. It was sort of exactly what 3 should have been, which is song oriented. We have a hook chorus you can sing, but a lot of cool music around it. And he put that together like that. It was just part of the process. And sometimes it just happens. You don't know why.
Yeah. Sometimes you'll wake up randomly and go like, I got it.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes it's when you're going to sleep, and that's bad because then you never go to sleep. Because your brain's sort of disarmed at a certain point. The analytical side and the creative side, they're different sides of your brain. And I'm lucky because I started at 12 years old playing a bunch of instruments, recording my own stuff on a little 4-track, writing songs, singing. I'm not saying I was good at it, but I started young, So my brain got used to the switch going analytical, creative, and that's what I do every day. Engineer, write, whatever people come into my studio, whatever they need, I can do it for them. Yeah, I can add that missing piece. And that was sort of part of my whole career in music. The guys, famous guys, like Greg Kino I play with now. They needed someone to bounce things off of and sort of push it along. And that's what I've done.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I've looked into a little bit of your history. You've, done things with Sammy Hagar, a few guys from Night Ranger, Asia, Joe Lynn Turner as well. I'm kind of impressed with that. I was like, man, this guy's worked with everybody. How'd you get involved with that?
I've been very lucky. I can't tell you, because I started so young, I have lots of ideas. I say my toolbox is really full of stuff. If it's studio work, I know how to use Pro Tools, every plugin. I know everything about it. I also love everything about it because my mom and dad had a band. There's like a Frank Sinatra big band kind of thing. And they toured around. And my mom was a singer in that band, and she didn't quit singing with them until she was 8 months pregnant. So I was on stage before I was born. And I think that some way sentenced me to liking everything to do with music. She used to tell me like in Santa Cruz, the beach, they have a big stage out there. And they go out to play, and she'd have to wear her evening gown and walk out there through the sand and climb up on the stage to sing. I was involved in all that before I knew it. And they say the ear is one of the first things to develop in a fetus. So there you go.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I was lucky to get good taste in music, growing up, but it's what we all like.
Yeah.
And of course, I was listening to your newest album, Third Impression. Good job, by the way. That's a good album.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah.
The one song that stood out to me the most so far would probably be your hit "Fond Farewell."
The first single release, yes.
Yeah. What inspired you to come up with that, and the music video too, which is really good?
I got to tell you that I wish I could take credit for that music video, but I had a whole different concept that the record company hated. So I was like, okay, no, we don't like that idea. I said, and kind of a smart ass, well, why don't you come up with something? They said, okay, this is Italy, the record company's Frontiers, right? Great company. But I thought, oh, you hate my idea. I'm not really a good visual. I can't write a video. I'm a songwriter, And I think part of that is because, well, like Fond Farewell. Fond Farewell could be me saying goodbye for the last time to Keith Emerson, who died in the middle of the previous album. It could be saying Fond Farewell to Three, the band that I'm going to sneeze. Uh-oh.
Oh, boy. Oh.
Sanitize.
Oh.
Okay. Get the spray out.
Wear
your mask.
Run.
It could be saying goodbye to Keith, saying goodbye to the band Three. I consider we have 3 albums to that trilogy, but it's actually about saying goodbye to kindness and how the internet and political posts and everything, it's, as you well know, it's sort of disgusting. The far sides, the farther side of the liberals and the farther side of the conservatives are just insane. They're all, the truth always lies somewhere in the middle of everything, because not everybody agrees. And the only way to agree is to sort of to tread that middle line. No matter what your beliefs are, you could believe, oh, he's crazy for saying that. But that's the only way it's going to work. And it's not working that way. So this was about saying goodbye to kindness. Everybody will read something into Fond Farewell, maybe different. Maybe it's Mother's Day, like I lost my mom a couple of years ago. Maybe that would be you saying, well, yeah, Fond Farewell, I miss my mom. You never know what people are going to read into it. So that makes me a very bad video creator, because I don't want to pinpoint. Sometimes I don't even want to think about what I wrote the song about. It comes out and I go, yeah, that means something. Not quite sure what, but it has some points in there, because you have to let the creativity flow. So they come back and they say, we have an idea. I say, okay, well, go ahead and see what you can do. And that video shows up. They sent it to me. I'm like, whoa, shit, wow, that is really great. Except for the guy in the video is happy-go-lucky the whole time. He's skipping around, last man on earth. I don't know where they found all these locations, a broken down subway station, and my God, everything was really good, And I thought, this guy's a little happy-go-lucky for being the last guy on earth, and he wants, the space station blows up, and he's still skipping around. Hey, well, there you go. I guess that's my last. I said, if you could just put something in there somewhere where he's despondent, where he gives up and he's not happy about this, I think the video would be perfect. And they added one little scene, and that's where he has that little TV oscilloscope thing, and he switches it off. Like, there's no reason. And that made the video, for me, it fulfilled all the things I needed to do. And I was just blown away. I haven't seen a video. That's sort of like an old style MTV video in the 80s, It had a meaning to it, had an actor, had location shots. I don't know where they found a NASA building in Italy. I don't think there is such a thing. But, fantastic job. I couldn't be prouder of that. And the song is really the reason I was picked first. And the record company picked that too, because they love the whole album. They say, this is the most Three-like song. Where you and Keith and Carl Palmer started in 1988. This song represents the evolution of that and the best that they felt of what that band was, because half this album, since Keith Emerson is gone and I can't do another one with him, this is the last album. Half the album had to sort of lead the fan base onto what I might do next. So songs like Top of the World, Missing Piece, they are heading toward what I will do now without Keith Emerson involved, because of course he's gone. You know, he can't be.
And you kind of mentioned in one little uh, I know information that I picked up. You mentioned that the song "Never" was the last song you did with Keith. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it was the last song we worked on together, and because the previous album from 2000, early 2019, late 2018, called "The Rules Have Changed,"
Mm-hmm.
um, because he had died in the middle of it, and I had to finish it by myself. It was kind of a tough emotional thing for me to do. And when I got 8 songs, was it on that album? It was as long as it needed to be, and it really couldn't fit another song that was almost 9 minutes long. So I
Right.
just kind of didn't go back and think about that one and really finish it up. Although Keith had, I had his parts and stuff, keyboard parts, but I didn't go past that with it. So when the record company asked me to do a follow-up album, I said, I don't want to really do one. And they said, why not? I said, well, Keith's not around. I feel like he needs to be here for me to do an album. They said, well, don't you have any songs left? I said, I had one. And what they told me is they said, the Rules Have Changed did so well. Now we have, Frontiers has all the bands from the 80s. They have,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they have Journey, they have Whitesnake, Asia. I mean, they have everybody, right? Everybody that is still making records that was around in the 80s and is still around. They have them signed to their label. And they said, we can't tell you what Journey sells and this and that. It wouldn't be right. But we can tell you that you did really well with The Rules That Changed. 3.2, you need to do a follow-up album.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, wow, that's some pretty high mark to hit. So I said, look, if I could write 7 more songs that I think Keith would have wanted to work on, like he did with Lover to Lover in 1988, like he did with everything else in 2000, when we were working in 2016, then I'll consider finishing that one song I have, Never, and we'll see what it is, but I can't commit to putting on a record. So it wasn't, I'd hate to say it was easy, but the songs did just sort of flow out. It took me a year to do it, but it wasn't like I didn't have all the parameters that Keith and I had set out to do the album. Because I play a lot of instruments and I play keyboards.
Mm-hmm.
And of course I work with Keith so much, it was like a piano lesson every day that we worked together.
Right.
I wrote this album that I think really did represent 3 still. And I recorded it and I sent it to my manager in England and the record company and one other guy that runs the 3 Emerson Barry Palmer Facebook page, Rolf, who really has his finger on the pulse of what 3 was. And they all said, you need to put this album out. It's tremendous. So I let him put it out, and that's why I get to talk to you.
All right. Well, again, the album, I was so impressed with the album because, again, I mean, I didn't know much about you guys, but when I, discovered you, I was like, these guys are really good. These guys really need to get recognized. And hopefully that's what I'm doing.
There is a band, the 3.2 featuring Robert Berry, we call it. We did a tour in 2019.
Right.
It's supposed to continue in 2020. We all know what happened. It was a leap year, 2020. It leaped. We leaped over it. Already booked one, there's a festival we booked next April, 2022. Looks like it'll open up again. A European tour was canceled in 2020, like everything else. Maybe that will ramp up again. And at that point, more people can come and see us. And, it's the band plays my 30-year history in progressive rock, starting with the first album and working with a guy named Steve Howe that was in the band called Yes, which is still in Yes, and everybody else in between. So it'll get out there. But it has a strong fan base, or I wouldn't be doing a follow-up album to the last one, reluctantly. So,
but can you tell me any cool moments that you and Keith Emerson and Carl Palmer ever did back then?
The one thing that really surprised me is we were touring, 1988, and we were playing. We had 3 shows in Texas, and they called from Atlantic Records, which we were on Geffen Records, one at Atlantic. But ELP, the previous band they were in, was on Atlantic, and they were having a 40th birthday party at Madison Square Gardens, and they wanted us to play. And I never thought, Madison Square Gardens, that's an iconic place. It's huge. We had to cancel one of the shows in Texas. I think it was Austin, if I remember right. And since our equipment was with the band and we had a couple of semis and All the crew and everything was there. We had to borrow equipment, and we got to borrow Led Zeppelin's equipment. The
Oh,
drum
wow.
set, yeah, the drum set and the bass amp. Of course, the keyboards, they didn't have the same.
Right.
So Keith got Yamaha flew him in a certain special keyboard. But we showed up that night, flew us in. Seems to me like after the second gig in Texas, we got on the plane and flew in. So we got to New York about midnight. They took us right to Madison Square Gardens because they wanted us to check out the equipment. And we walked out, you know, in the backstage, which is like a football field. It's huge. And there's this blues band playing on stage. And we're like, oh, they sound good. Well, the place is going to sound great tomorrow when we get to play. So we walk out, see who's playing, and it's Led Zeppelin rehearsing. And we're like, whoa. And it's Jason Bonham, John Bonham's son, of course, playing. Oh, boy. I'm getting a message here. I'm going to real quick do something I have to do, if you don't mind. Is this live or can you?
But anyway, well, I'm going to mute myself real fast, and we'll be right back. So stand by. So guys, yeah, what are your thoughts on the show? What do you expect, Mickey?
I'm expecting loud noises and smoking stuff.
Very interesting. How about you, T-Bone?
Rock and roll. It's gonna be a good time.
Please welcome that arena rock
Anyway, these guys are going to be on in like a few minutes, getting ready to perform a show. And, you know, it's been a while and all that, you know, with the pandemic and everything. But I just wanted to, you know, talk to them for a moment, get some thoughts. This is Nikki Starr.
Hello. Oh.
You okay there?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is...
Got him! Got him!
See what I mean? They're crazy. And we're back.
Okay. I hope you can hear me and see me again. I'm sorry about that. That's what happens. You have all kinds of stuff in your phone, right? I got to open the door for somebody with my phone.
It's all good. If you did see that video right there, that was a video that I work with a band that's called That Arena Rock Show.
Oh,
I don't know if you saw that.
I
good
saw
guys.
a little bit of it. Yeah, it was good. It was good stuff.
Yep. They're a cover band, but very good, very talented guys. Definitely check them out. But anyway, sir, I don't know where we left off. I think you were telling me the experience of how you met Led Zeppelin, correct, with Jason Bonham?
Yeah, we're using their equipment. The next day after that, when we played, we had a great time. Of course, Madison Square Gardens, it was really something to play there. That was a high point of that tour for me, of course. But funny enough, we sounded great on the TV show. Led Zeppelin, who sounded fantastic the night before, sounded terrible. It was just awful. I couldn't figure it out because they were so good the night before. But the next day, maybe they'd stay up all night or something. I don't know what it was, but oh man, it was rough.
Well, you know, we have bad days. It happens.
That's right. Yeah.
And you know, Led Zeppelin, they're legends. And I'm kind of curious. I wonder what Robert Plant was wondering when you guys were using their equipment.
You know, I mean, him just being the singer, the drums and the bass amp didn't bother him at all. John Paul Jones, I'm sure, just want to make sure I didn't blow up his bass amp, and yeah, it was just interesting. And funny enough, 3 years before that, when I was with another band in England, Jason Bonham was hanging around the recording studio when I was having trouble with the singer of that band. He was giving me a bad time. And I asked the leader of the band, I said, who's that kid playing pool? Can we get him out of here? Your singer's giving me a bad time, and I don't really need strangers around. He goes, oh, that's Jason Bonham, John's son. I'll tell him to leave. I said, oh, no, it's okay. He can stay. Right? That's royalty. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Never mind. Well, speaking of other bands you've been in, I was trying to look up a band called Alliance that you were with.
Yes.
I sadly can't really find anything because YouTube keeps taking me to another band called Alliance from a Russian band or something, and I'm like, I can't find any information.
Interesting, because there's all kinds of Alliance stuff on there. Wonder how that happens. Anyway, I know there's a few bands with the name Alliance. We've been together since '92, and Alliance is Sammy Hagar's old band before he went to Van Halen. Sammy was touring, had some hits, and then Eddie Van Halen called him and said, "Yeah, let's go." So he left. Geffen Records was grooming me as a solo artist. I said, you'd be a good replacement for Sammy, not as the same kind of band that Sammy's dynamo, the energy and the stuff, but more like they said, a Sting meets Bryan Adams, if you know who both those guys are.
Oh,
So
yeah.
great rock with some creativity, some more musical kind of stuff in it. And they came to see me a couple times with my local band here doing some concerts. So I didn't even know they were there. And then they called me, said, "We'd like to get this band going. We've seen you." And I was already moving to England with Carl Palmer to try to start a new band. So I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm moving to England. I get to work with my heroes, and I would have loved to have done this, but I'm already committed. I'm leaving." So I go. I spend a couple of years in England, writing, recording, making a few albums with people. And when that's done, I come back, and they still haven't found somebody they like. So Gary Peel, who plays in the band Boston now, went from Sammy Hagar, had one day out of work, joined Boston the next day, which is pretty cool. He calls me and goes, "Look, we haven't found anybody. You want to get together at Sam's house and see how it goes?" Like, great, let's do it. We've been together ever since. It's a harder rockin' band, driven by Gary's guitar stuff, kind of. He makes up these great riffs. We're best of friends. It's the way a band should be. We feel like we grew up together, even when we didn't. It's really a good band, and we're working on that. In fact, our 5th album, we will be working on middle of July this year.
Oh, wow. And that's really good. I mean, and again, I agree with you. Bands should become friends, and I think all bands from that era grew up with each other, even if they didn't. But
yeah, and if they're not friends anymore and nobody's getting along and everybody's dead, they ought to give it up too, right?
Yeah.
They keep replacing. I didn't want to name the name of bands, but so that there's like one original member and everybody else it's like a cover band then,
right?
And you know what? The cover bands are better. You see a tribute band to Van Halen, they're really good, right?
Oh, yeah.
If you were to have a Van Halen tribute band with just Michael Anthony, the bass player, what would it be? It wouldn't only be Van Halen, and Alex Van Halen could be there too. But hey, you need Sam or David Lee Roth and Eddie. You got to have Eddie in it,
right?
So
yeah.
Wish they'd give it up. Which is another reason I'm ending 3 right now, even though it's 3.2. It's still there's 3 albums in the 3 series, and Keith's gone. Carl Palmer's off doing his ELP legacy. That's a whole different deal. I just want to end it. It's
right.
It is what it is. Keith and I were doing it. It's done, and I'm really proud of it. And the way this album's being received is the best reviews. And the last one got great reviews. That's where the record company wanted me to do another one. But this one's getting even better reviews, and I don't want to ruin that by doing another one, right?
Right, yeah.
Oh, he shouldn't have done that. Too bad. You love Motley Crue. Well, they get back together with the guys, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, definitely. And also, a fan here said, absolutely. She agrees with you.
Yeah. It's important to be real and honest about things, not just make money. That's the whole thing. It's art. And, I think, I work with Greg Kinn. Greg Kinn had hits in the 80s, but right now you might know his claim to fame as Jeopardy when Weird Al did it as a parody.
I do.
I lost in Jeopardy. Well, Greg Kinn did the Jeopardy song originally. And we get together once a week at my studio for 4 hours. We write songs, we record them, we develop. We're best buddies. We have fun. We go have a little lunch. We like hanging out together. If he comes in and says, "Oh, Robert, he's a big voice guy. I got nothing today." Oh, Nothing. Wow, let's write that song. And we'll start, right? I got nothing. And from there, because he has a lot of ideas, I have ideas, it just blossoms because we're friends and it's real. We're not going to make any money in that song, maybe, or maybe we will someday. So
You never know.
yeah, that's what happens. And people keep trying to milk that cow, and there's no milk in it.
Yeah. Sooner or later, you gotta give it up and move on with another project, something like
Yeah.
that.
Right.
Speaking of one of the album that I do have, the Power of Three, it didn't really get the recognition it deserved when it came out. Can you tell me why it didn't? Because I love this album. I'm like, this album's awesome.
You know what's funny is in 1988, we had a top 10 song. So listeners of the radio then, which was really heavy, there's no internet then. You barely even had a cell phone that wasn't the side of a shoebox. They were huge, right?
Yeah.
We had an 18 to 35, 40-year-old brand new audience that wasn't from Emerson, Lake and Palmer, the old ELP audience. It was a young new audience. And we played concerts. Half the people were young, a little bit younger than me, but I was younger than those guys. And then half the audience was much older than me and more like Keith's age and, bald head and glasses as far as you could see, because they were progressive rock ELP fans. So Carl Palmer had a band called Asia, did the exact same thing. He did songs with progressive music around the songs, and they did very well. So Carl was accepted doing this band 3. He already done it. I was accepted because I was the new guy, nobody knew who I was. That was my first break. But Keith, the ELP fans couldn't accept him doing songs with the progressive stuff around it because he had only done ELP in a band called The Nice, which is very classically oriented and very complicated and frilly and all over the place. So he got criticized really heavily. And in those days, without the internet, without email even, unless you were in a company, people would write letters. And 2 guys wrote letters telling him how he was ruining his career. We had 2 female background singers, and they were great. And they had great outfits, and they weren't like semi-nude outfits, but the guy said, to have scantily clad women as background singers. What guy's going to say that? They were just dressed really cool,
Yeah.
But these 2 guys made Keith feel really bad about it because Keith was susceptible to that. The criticism, he didn't do well with that, especially when it came in a letter. And early on, this one guy would brag about it. I'm the one that, told Keith he's ruined his career and he broke up the band. Now, once, what was it, 2015 or so, a guy who's now a friend of mine, Rolf, started the 3 Emerson Barry Palmer Facebook page. And it sort of lit up, went on fire. Like people are saying, oh, I forgot about that album. And they revisited it and they're saying what you said. Wow, there's some really good stuff on there. Because there wasn't that same thing back in 1988 where the ELP fans hated anything that was a song that had a chorus to it, something you could sing. People had changed, and even those guys that didn't like it back then have been through Yes doing it, Genesis, all the prog bands, ELP doing it. ELP put out some terrible albums. Keith put out some terrible albums after that. They never did anything. Rush, all these progressive bands got more, I'll just say commercial. That's not really what it was, but, more accessible. Right. So 3 was doing exactly what everybody else was doing. It just the Emerson fans were hard on him, so he broke it up.
Wow.
I made $500,000 that year, did a tour, played Madison Square Gardens, had a top 10 record. It was anything but failed and anything but unsuccessful. It was not unsuccessful, but that one thing, those 2 letters broke it up. That's something.
Wow. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
And with the album that I said before, it's really good. I told you Lover to Lover is my favorite song. Can you tell me what your favorite song is?
Well, Lover to Lover was one of my favorites, and Talking About, which was our single, the first big one, was my favorite time because I've been playing it ever since, and people, they recognize it, and it's a lot of fun to do that. But Lover to Lover was going to be the second single. Even Geffen Records thought that was the right song. You put up Talking About, went to number 9, That's pretty good. Let's see if we can push the next one higher. Let's use Lover to Lover. People are going to like that song, they said. Then Keith broke it up. And I even have stickers that say, next single, Lover to Lover. So you're right on with that, even what the record company thought.
That's funny. Look at that. I do have good taste. Good
Yeah,
ear.
yeah.
Well, and also another thing, when I was reading a little bit of your biography for Third Impressions, it mentioned something about you guys recording in a barn at one point with Keith.
That was Keith's house. That's what we rehearsed there. He had a little 8-track recorder, but it was
Oh,
in
wow.
Sussex, England. And the first time I went there, I'll tell you a funny story. Everybody thinks that knew Keith Emerson. He was such a great musician. They figured he was a little staunch and this, that. He was really a really great guy, funny guy. Carl Palmer drives me out. I was living downtown London, Kensington High Street, which for me, I'm like, whoa, and they're paying for everything, right? The manager's footing all the bills. I feel like a star, and I've done nothing. Carl picks me up. We drive out half hour, 40 minutes to Keith's house, which is called Stonehill House, and Steinbeck wrote some novel there. So it's kind of a famous place. And of course, Keith Emerson's famous. And there's this big iron gates. We get to the gates, and Carl goes, Emerson, where are you? And we hear this, hi guys, how's it doing? Like far away, right? Well, he goes, open the gates. And I'm new to I'm brand new. I'm not going to yell at Keith. Hey, Keith, open the gates. I barely knew him at that point. And he goes, yeah, I'll be right down. I'm up here. And we look up, and there's basically like Jim Carrey. He has his butt sticking out, naked butt, and he's talking to us with his butt cheeks.
What?
And here's the guy that I thought would be kind of staunch, and he's such a great musician that, he'd speak in equations, wouldn't be able to understand what he said. He's like a comedian too. And that sort of started our rehearsals, and the barn was in the yard there. It was a nice barn. It was beautiful. And all his keyboards in there, and everything for his whole career was sort of stashed in one area keyboard wise. So for me, it was like a museum. It was incredible, really. I have video of that, which I'm going to put together DVD probably next year. I'm so busy. I'm going to actually release that video of our rehearsals and some of our tour stuff and things that people have never seen before. It's going to be really cool.
Oh, I would so like to see that. Send some to me.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, and then speaking of it, you met Keith in UK, correct?
Yes.
United Kingdom. Yeah.
Yep.
How did that come to be?
I was working with the band. I told you the singer was bugging me. It was called GTR. I was working with Steve Howe, who was the guitar player from Yes.
Right.
His new band was GTR, and they needed a guy to play guitar and keyboard. So I joined him. Well, they really needed a songwriter. So Steve and I were writing, and we hit it off really well. Like Greg King and I. Steve had ideas, I had ideas, and it just moved forward. And I spent a lot of time with Steve, like out in his farm in Devon and different places. And the singer didn't like that because they had spent a year before I got there working with this band. And they thought, oh, who's this new guy, the only American in the band, taking up all Steve's time and getting to work on with Steve and all these songs. And well, that's what I did. I was a songwriter. My toolbox was full of tools, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these guys weren't really songwriters. They were a great singer, great bass players, all that. So after a year of that, the singer made my life so miserable that I quit. I got them all the songs they needed. The record company got the budget together. I said, you know what, guys, you don't need me. I'm not going to live my life. And I don't know why I said this, because I really was nobody. I was working with my heroes, but I hadn't had a hit record. I was nothing on the national or international scale. I said, there's something better for me. I'm quitting. Because this singer, I couldn't see spending my life with this guy harassing me all the time, right? And Steve Howe even talks about it in the Yes book of why I quit. I didn't understand a guy, an English humor, a guy saying F you all the time. Oh, yeah, of course I didn't. Who wants to live their life under a black cloud? We want to move forward with people that support us and that are positive, right? That's the only way to make it.
I agree with
you.
you.
I quit. I told Brian Lane, my manager, on a Sunday, I quit, and I had sent Steve a letter about it, and he was so mad at me. No, you can't quit. The record company's really liking these songs. And they got the songs. I'm not taking them except for talking about that one song. I said, that should be for whatever I do. Monday, the manager calls me. Yeah, I know you're flying back home Wednesday. Keith Emerson wants to have lunch with you tomorrow, Tuesday. Really? Yeah, he likes your cassette tape, because back then we traded cassette tapes, 1987.
Wow.
okay. And I was actually kind of worried about it. I thought again that he'd be really kind of tight, you know, kind of staunchy and very organized and scientific about it. And he wasn't. We spent 2 hours at lunch. He was so funny. Uh, it made, I mean, a lifelong friendship with the duration of his life anyway, for me, you know, that was really my most famous friend, my most talented friend, the funniest guy. I got some videotape he sent me of things he sent people for their birthday that I could never show to anybody. He's just like, wow, he was just funny. And that was my first meeting with him because Carl had played him my cassette tape. And he said, if we start a new band, I'd like to play a couple ELP songs if we go on tour. And I said, I would too. That'd be great. Well, we can't leave your history behind. And that started it. That launched the best part of my life musically, was getting that stamp of approval from one of the world's greatest musicians.
Mm-hmm. And then then history is made right there, and you continue on with the group. It's amazing, man. And
I can't even tell you how it all happened. It's sort of like when you put out positive energy, and I don't care what I do in life, I don't expect anything in return. It's nice if you get something. If I give you $10 and you throw it down the drain, well, I gave you the gift. I've done what I wanted to do, right?
Right.
And so yes, well, you used it for some reason that made you feel good. Okay, that's not my call. But you march forward in a positive way, even a negative, even the COVID-19. I made a positive out of last year, no negatives. I lived almost normally. When restaurants are locked down, you only do pickup. My wife and I, Rebecca, we picked the food up and we either sat in our Tesla, we have a Tesla X,
nice.
in front of the restaurant as if we were there. What's the difference, a booth or a car? Kind of the same, right? Or we'd go up to the parking garage above Campbell, our little town, which overlooks the water tower and stuff. And we'd sit in the car and we'd look at the people, driving and stuff. We'd make a date night out of it 3 nights a week. We made it positive. We tried to emulate living normal, even though we all know it wasn't normal.
Mm-hmm.
But if you move positive toward things and you reframe them into a positive, you're going to get somewhere. It's just going to take you in the right direction. So
right.
Anyway, that's how I guess things have happened for me. I don't know.
Do you ever consider bringing out like a book about you and how you came to be?
I've written about a 400-page book, you could call that, for my kids. I have a daughter and a son, and I want them to know that none of this happened on my own, that it was always other people like Keith Emerson and stuff who saw something in me that I might not have seen in myself. But by being positive and trying to make the most out of each situation, they took me into whatever, and my career developed, my life developed. I have a great client base at my studio, which I showed you.
Mm-hmm.
I was busy 75% of normal last year when everything was shut down. And that's, of course, one client at a time. And I'm the king of the alcohol spray down here. So every chair and light switch, whatever, paper towels got sprayed down, right? But I'm just a guy that can facilitate your dream. If you write a song and you're missing something or not quite right, I have some missing pieces for you to consider for it. So I lived fairly normal and still moving forward. That's all I can say.
Yeah. And I say, got to keep staying positive and keep moving forward, like you said.
Definitely.
And speaking of, from the experience of the album Third Expressions, I told you Fond Farewell was so far my favorite song.
Yeah.
What's yours?
I have a couple. I wrote one. My mom died a few years ago, and I wrote this song that Keith had heard but never worked on, called A Bond of Union. And it's a ballad and stuff. But I wanted to write a song to honor my mom and the sacrifice that she made to facilitate my dream, piano lessons, vocal, all the things that she saw I was involved in. She never pushed me into them, but she was right there supporting me when I was little, But I wanted it to be something that maybe you'd find your parents in, because good or bad parents, they all influence us in some way. Even a bad parent, I had a guy that grew up behind the studio who his mom did all the business profits in coke. They lost their business, cocaine, took down their business, his dad was a jerk. Now he always wanted to be me because up at the studio was this guy doing music and having fun and all these musicians, bands coming in. Now he's a producer in Los Angeles.
Oh, good
He
for him.
wasn't going to turn out like his parents. So the sacrifice his parents made, which was messing up their life, still affected him in a positive way, you know? So that's what that song's about. That's important to me, to write positive things. I would say Never is important to me. It's 9 minutes long, but it's the last one that Keith and I ever worked on together. I had it on the hard drive of my computer that was on the main drive, so it was always there with me. It's like my little gift from Keith, my own personal memento that nobody ever heard. When the record company wanted me to finish it up, and I did it, I thought twice, gee, maybe I should just hold on. This is like my little thing with, last thing of his. But when I got it done, it was so good. And I was so proud of what we had done together. It could be the best thing since Lover to Lover and Desi La Vida on the first album, which is a big piece of music. And I'm really proud of that one. That was a difficult song for me to do because I decided I was going to up my drumming and my guitar skills on that and really go for it. So it was difficult. So that might be my favorite for all the right reasons. Missing Piece is my favorite one to sing and play. There's different things on it that sort of live in my heart and my mind,
Yeah, definitely. And I think another one of my favorite songs is probably What Side You're On. It's a short song, but I like it.
I did that on purpose. Progressive songs are always long. And what I do on my own is more guitar oriented. I like half guitar, half keyboards, but I lean toward guitar, come on mouth. Keith was the keyboard sound. That was the sound of 3 heavy keyboards. This album moves half toward what I'm going to do next, which is guitar. But I wanted to do a song like Eddie Van Halen would. He can do songs like Right Now, he can do Jump, and on keyboards, and they competed with guitar bands. That was amazing that he could do that. He was a fantastic keyboard player. And I wanted something like that. So What Side You're On was supposed to be short, is supposed to be progressive, supposed to have that keyboard sound, but it would compete. Like if they play Motley Crue on the radio, then they play What Side You're On. What Side You're On wouldn't fall short as this new age keyboard tune, right? It'd be hard driving. It also, we talked about already that the meanness and stuff that's going on in social media and the far sides of politics and the internet itself. Like I can see you, you can see me. So I'm not going to say something behind your back. Oh, that guy, he's an idiot. But that's what happens on the internet when people don't see each other. They think they can say anything they want. And if that keeps going as your generation, you guys are in trouble. That needs to stop. Because I'll use this as an example. When I was young, I wouldn't say the word shit, hell, damn in front of my parents. None of that, right? I just respected they wouldn't, and they didn't want me to be like that. Then I started working with Sammy Hagar, and he uses the F word. I don't want to say it in your show because it might not be, I don't mind saying it, but I don't want to, make your PG show all of a sudden be X.
I appreciate that.
But, the F word is something that I never even said in front of girls in high school. I thought, that's not respectful. I got with Sam. Sam says it all the time. It got easier for me to say, F this, F that. But my son says it all the time. He's 26 now. And for him, it's like saying hello. F, hey, F, So from me, who wouldn't say it unless I was really mad or something, right? To him who uses it just as daily language, we've lost that, I'll call it respect, even though the F word's no big deal. But there's a respect and there's a certain thing that happens in society when you don't use expletive kind of things all the time. And I'm making a bad example here, but that's what's happening with the internet. People being mean, rude, expressing hardline opinions like you're an idiot if you don't agree with me. That's got to stop. So What Side You're On isn't really about picking sides. It's really supposed to be about, if I can understand why you feel different than me, then I have the right to have an opinion that I can express and say, I understand why you wouldn't want blah, or you do want, why you don't want Snow White movie to be on because the prince kissed her without asking. I can understand that. Well, I can't really, but I mean, why you think that's wrong. Maybe you were abused. Okay, I get it. But on the other hand, Now I'm going to tell you, I think it's ridiculous that you believe that. But I can understand your viewpoint, and that's what side you're on about. You might have a side, but you need to understand the other side for things to come back to normal in this world. So that song had a hard-hitting point. It's a hard-hitting song, and it's short, which that was the hard part because I want to do a bunch of other things to it.
Right. Well, and, I definitely agree with you with everything you said. I mean, we live in a world where everybody's just yelling at each other and getting offended by the little things, and it's like, calm down. It's okay. It's just.
And with your major, which is communications, really, right?
Yeah.
You need to solve this.
Yeah.
See, my son tells me at 26, he goes, Dad, you guys didn't grow up with the internet. You shouldn't even be talking on it because you don't know how it affects everybody. We grew up since we were little with it. We know the outcome, how it affects us and that. I said, well, I can see how it affects it. He goes, yeah, but you don't know how to work it the right way. Like I'll post something that says, hey, there's a solution down the middle of this that you guys aren't thinking about. And boy, I get attacked. I get 300 people going, what, are you an idiot? Well, I basically said we need to agree and find a common ground here in the middle. And people get all mad. He goes, you shouldn't be saying that. You have thousands of friends on Facebook, Instagram. You should never be saying that. Okay, well, I guess I don't really understand, right? but again, you need to solve it.
Yeah.
Communications, you're going to be right in there.
Yeah. My teacher told me that, people are going to get on you for saying certain things and how you express yourself. So you got to be ready. I agree with them.
You have to be ready. But then again, I will not post a far left or far right thing, whatever I believe. I am really in the middle because I believe some stuff on both sides. But when I tried to post something down the middle saying, I can understand that and I can understand that. But, if you did this, it's half of each thing. Then everybody's kind of halfway happy, which is better than being 100% unhappy and 100% happy on the other side. That's never going to work. And I get attacked for 300 people tell me I'm an idiot. So you can't really be ready to defend yourself. It's almost like you can't put it out there because you can't defend it because there's no defending it against some people. But an awareness has to happen where people post, look, I can understand your side. I get it. Yeah, you think like the wall. You think that people will be stopped by that wall. And other people say, well, they could just dig under. And then you say, well, it's easy to track them under because we have that kind of technology now. Oh, and this guy says, yeah, but it's a waste of money. Oh, I can understand both those sides. That all makes sense to me. So the middle ground is, let's go see what the people that live down there, what they think. Let's see. I mean, I have a lot of Mexican friends here in San Jose that wanted the wall built because they say the drug dealers bring drugs over and they wind up on their neighborhoods because it's like Mexican neighborhoods. So even they're saying, please build the wall. Okay, yeah. So, but there's different sides. When we can understand the two sides and present them, I think we'll be better off. You can't just take one side because it could be that, Mother Teresa was the greatest woman ever. You don't say it.
Oh yeah, don't say that or people are going to be mad.
Someone's going to come after you.
Right. And yeah, definitely. And, we need the world to be kinder again. And I think this album's a good start with that. Good message.
Nice. I appreciate you saying that. I will tell you that I have another interview in 4 minutes here, but I've enjoyed speaking with you so much, and that you are a young guy getting into this business, and you got a great voice for it. You seem to have a good mind. You're anchored, obviously you understand the technology because when I was messing around with things, you just waited. And I've never heard of this platform, so it's good. I have a new platform besides Zoom to use now. But I appreciate that you took the time. It's not the kind of music you normally listen to. You took the time to get familiar with some stuff. I mean, you're really right on. I just talked to a guy at a big news station who produces TV news and documentaries. He was so happy, and the best setup of an interview I've ever seen, and he had to have pictures and all this stuff. You're as good as him already, man. That's good. You're really together. I appreciate that.
I definitely appreciate hearing that from a guy like you. I really appreciate that. It made my day. Thank you.
Sometimes you just have it because you want to have it, right?
Exactly.
It sounds like something you want, And I always say, they teach you trigonometry and stuff in high school, stuff you'll never use. If you want to know trigonometry, once you get into college, you're just going to learn it because you want it and you need it to be a scientist. And
Right.
yeah, you get into college, where you want to head, especially guys. Girls can do anything, but guys, we have to have that that one thing we like, or else we're on the couch, with a drink and watching TV.
Actually, yeah, I can see that. You're right.
Yeah.
Well, I have one more question for you. With the COVID-19 and everything hitting, do you plan on doing any tours soon and coming to Ohio?
I'd love to come to Ohio. I hope that, 2022, definitely. I'm hoping that I can get my December people band, which we don't have time to talk about now, but it's holiday classics like AC/DC, the Back in Black, Stairway to Heaven, all holiday songs put into those songs where I forget what the AC/DC one is. Stairway to Heaven is Night Before Christmas. ZZ Top is Santa Claus Coming to Town. And they fit like a glove. You'd think it was the original song. It fits so well, but it's the real holiday song. I hope to get that out in November and December. We'll see. I will get to Ohio. The guy that runs the 3 Facebook page, Rolf, is out there somewhere. So he'll get it. But if we do, we'll definitely want to meet you and shake your hand. We can shake now. We can do that, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there you go.
Air shake, right? Here you go. Nice to meet you, sir. I definitely would like to meet you, see your show, man. It'd be an honor.
Well, I appreciate that. We do 2 hours of my 30-year history of music, and it's got a lot of notable things from every band and every facet of my career. And it was a real honor for me for the first time in 2019 to do that tour, but we didn't get to finish it in 2020. So we'll get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and hopefully the COVID restrictions will lift up and we can all get back to our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, sir, it was an honor to meet you. It was good talking. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me as well. If there's anything that you would like to say to the fans, go ahead.
The easy thing, go to www.robertberry.com. There's a vinyl on Third Impression. There's a t-shirt. There's all my history on there. I'm not a good salesman. I don't do any of that to make money. I just sell it for, the souvenir that it's going to be, because there's not going to be more 3 albums. But you'll see a lot of stuff about my career and the people I worked with there, which is kind of cool, with the Sammy Hagars and stuff of the world, Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry that I have to go. I've really enjoyed it. You did a great job, and I hope to talk to you again.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'd like to tell you to take care and keep on rocking.
Thanks. Yeah. Good luck with your college career there and getting into a huge network of some kind, and except for the political arena, stay out of that.
Yeah, that's my goal.
I'll talk to you later. Thanks, man.
You take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Robert Berry, and thank you for tuning in. This is Seabass, and take care and keep rocking.